Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Andre, a sales engineer here at Jamf, and together we'll be going through this session on rediscovering safe internet. Let's get into it. So Jamf Safe Internet will be 3 years old now in 2025. You can say it's still a young product, but let's remember, it comes from a solid enterprise solution, which you may know as Wandera, that has been in the market for over a decade. And as you can see from this timeline, at Jamf we've continued to enhance and redefine what safe internet is, adding features that focus on its fit in the education space. Here are just a few of the highlights. There were many more small improvements along the way, and a special shout goes to on-device content filtering, privacy modes, and policy schedules. With maybe on-device content filtering being the single most important change of all, enabling safe internet to no longer be a VPN-based solution, which means it's more robust than before. And as you saw from the timeline, there has been a lot of changes. You could almost say everything changed. However, at the core, Jamf Safe Internet still has the 3 pillars of focus it had since the day it's launched. To be privacy focused, to protect teachers and students against harmful content and threats, and to be Apple first and Apple best. So whether this is the first time that you'd heard about Safe Internet, or you're a current administrator that is just looking at a refresher, in this session we are going to rediscover Safe Internet and find out how we can help you secure devices in your institution this year. So what is Jamf Safe Internet? In a nutshell, it is an education-focused content filtering and web threat prevention solution that is built with Apple in mind, meaning it uses the native framework that Apple offers in the operating system so that the technology doesn't get in the way of learning. We create policies to define what content is unwanted, from either a preset of categories or an admin-defined rule set. Here, the important part is that it doesn't stop at category blocking content. Safe Internet, in fact, also has web threat prevention capabilities, which means we'll block traffic to known phishing, malware, spam, and cryptojacking website as well. We then have comprehensive reporting in line with our focus on privacy. So administrators can view blocked website and produce granular usage reports of their entire fleet. But they can also do security reports where administrator can see the prevented threats on their school-owned devices. All this is done from a streamlined, simple, and very easy to use console. And finally, if you are a Jamf School customer, you have a one-click simple deployment to bring safe internet functionalities right into Jamf School, where you can then just simply scope to the required devices to cover. Well, that's obviously not to say that you're out of luck if you are a Jamf Pro customer. You just have a few more steps to take. So let's move on from what Safe Internet is to some of the significant changes we've seen in the past year. Starting with what I would say is the most significant change, as it was also the gateway for many of the other capabilities that came after it. And that's on-device content filter, or ODCF for short. When we talk about on-device content filter, we are actually referring to a technology built into Apple devices. So let me break down the benefits for you without diving too deep into the technical details. There are 3 main key highlights. 1, it's more powerful. 2, it's Apple native. And 3, it's privacy preserving. With this innovative approach, Jamf is redefining what it means to deliver safe, seamless, and effective content filtering for education. We'll expand on each one a bit more, starting with the fact that on-device content filtering is more powerful. Now, by operating natively within the Apple ecosystem, we leverage Apple's own OS, delivering unmatched performance. This allows Jamf Safe Internet to perform on-device evaluations, blocking all the unwanted traffic before it even leaves the device. For administrators, This means that there is no way for students to bypass the solution with VPN, for example, or any other workaround that until now students have been proving smart enough to find. This feature also allows for more granular configurations where IP addresses or even full URLs can now be used to define a block or an allow policy. For students, this means they get a consistent user experience as they won't even know it's running. And that's, of course, until they get blocked while trying to access a harmful website. Using this technology also means that it's, for whatever reason, something just doesn't work, we can fall back on another technology leveraged by Jamf Safe Internet, and that is still native to Apple, and that's DOH, short for DNS over HTTPS. And here we touch on the second benefit, being Apple native. DNS is an important technology as it's the base of all the web threat prevention features we offer in Jamf Safe Internet. And just to make it a little bit clearer, especially for those that like a diagram, just gonna have a quick look at what happens when a student tries to browse the internet. So any traffic leaving the device must go through Safe Internet since ODCF is lower in the network stack. If the website isn't allowed, then the iPad is just denied right there and then, before it even tries to load the website. And no need to send the traffic to Jamf to evaluate further. It's done directly on the device. If the site is allowed, traffic then flows into the second technology we use, DOH. Here in our Jamf Safe Security Cloud, we evaluated the traffic for security risks such as phishing or malware sites and apply any DNS-based rules, like enforcing Google Safe Search, for example. From there, the traffic is either blocked or allowed. And if it's blocked, the student sees a block page informing that the school doesn't allow that type of content. And if allowed, then the website just gets loaded as expected, and the student doesn't even know that that's all happened in the background because it all took a fraction of a second. Well, late last year, our product team have done an amazing work in moving web threat prevention capabilities from the secure cloud DNS evaluation to the on-device one, bringing all the benefits that we just discussed to it. So the key takeaway is that as of today, most of the heavy lifting of our solution is done directly on the device. The second step, which is the cloud-based evaluation, is now only used just for those DNS rules, such as enforcing Google Safe Search, and, as we mentioned earlier, very useful as a fallback in the event of the on-device technology failing. Since I believe everyone here knows what we mean by content filtering, let's take a look at what we mean by web threat prevention with a real-world example somebody might find themselves into. So here we have a student who's just checking in their mail, just a standard daily task. Notice there is an email from the IT support department and it looks urgent. It mentions that there's been a password breach and that they need to reset the password. They provide a link in order to do that, and it appears to be a Microsoft link, and it's also from IT, so seems like legitimate. There may be some of you looking at this and seeing a few things that look bizarre already, like the funny way the spelling of Microsoft is within the email, or how even the IT department email at the bottom of the email has Jamf spelled wrong and is Jamf and not Jamf. But these are easy things to miss, especially with the added pressure of the urgent in the subject line. So our student clicks on the link and expects to be taken to a website to reset the password, but this email wasn't from IT, it was a phishing email, and Safe Internet blocked the student from going to this malicious website. Obviously, had the student followed the link and entered his username and password, he might have just given a bad actor access to a school-owned device where they could have then attempted to gain access to other user accounts, and even worked up to gain wider access and potentially accessing sensitive and confidential data within other systems. And lastly, just to go back to the benefits, the third one is all about privacy. So there are two things that I've said already a number of times, and they are evaluations are done on the device and don't get processed in the cloud. And on-device content filtering uses Apple native frameworks built right into the operating system. So these two things are what makes on-device content filtering privacy preserving. So when a student tries to load a website, as part of the framework, there is what we can call an encrypted black box that only Apple has access to, and it doesn't provide any insight. In there, they can see some sensitive data such as query parameters. However, this data then is evaluated against the on-device safe internet policies, and then it's stripped of these sensitive data and passed over to the other side. And this is where we get that data and use it in our console for reporting purposes. So that's on-device content filtering and on-device web threat prevention. But let's hold onto the theme of privacy by having a look at the new privacy modes. Privacy mode is a setting in the Safe Internet console which can be switched by administrators with the required privilege in the console. It has no impact at all for the end user, but it does enable the administrator better insights when troubleshooting or threat hunting is necessary. So if we look at the console, we can see a new privacy menu item under settings. And the first thing we can see here is that the data is currently being stored either in the EU or the US. This should not be a concern for any of you, but more for our US friends, as they are required to host their instance in their region before they can even use the privacy modes. Now, the first mode is full privacy, and this is the default mode for any new Safe Internet instance, or if you never changed your settings. With this mode enabled, devices have random identifiers and all the reports stay anonymous. The second mode is balanced privacy. Here, it's important to understand that as Jamf, we still very much believe in preserving privacy, but we also understand there has to be a balance between this and what administrators need. So with balanced privacy, administrator can see things like device name in certain areas of the console, like the device group or the security reports, while we keep the usage report, which are the ones that contain the most sensitive data, still anonymous. So we'll take a look at the differences between the two modes in a moment. But first I need to show you what it means to switch privacy modes from an administrator perspective, because this is something that you want to choose and it's something that you want to stick to. I'm going to say this now, and I might repeat it again later. Switching privacy modes is a complete redeployment of the Safe Internet configurations. So this isn't something that you are going to or want to switch on and off again. In this example, we're going to move from balanced privacy to full privacy. First things first, we click on full privacy and right away we get a warning. And if you do this, you must remove any current Safe Internet deployments from devices. Any activation profiles you created already will be deleted and you will not be able to switch back for another 24 hours. And this is a serious thing that you're doing here. So we ask you to confirm a couple of times that you've understood what you need to do and have done it before making the switch. It's important to note that if you don't remove any current deployments of Safe Internet from devices, there is a very high chance that those devices will stop communicating with the internet altogether, which includes your MDM. And the only way, unfortunately, to fix that would be to wipe the devices and re-enroll them into your MDM. And that's something that we don't really want to do. Once you have confirmed you will get the success message, which once again reminds you that you cannot switch back for 24 hours. Again, this is a long-term thing. It's not like a quick switch that you want to do on and off. Then, as the warning stated, all devices records have been purged from the system, and at the same time the activation profile have been removed, and you will only have been given this new default profile to deploy. The device will need re-enrolled within the Jamf Safe Internet console, which, depending on the mode you switch to, will either begin or stop collecting that extra data about the device from the MDM. So now that I've hopefully painted the picture that privacy modes are a serious decision, what are the real benefits to administrators? So the first thing is around troubleshooting. Here we can see the device groups page when full privacy mode is enabled. Remember, full privacy assigns random identifiers to devices and details. You can see we have no record of the device name, user, or email to correlate back to our MDM. So if we get a student with issues and we need to find their device to make sure, as an example, they have the correct policies assigned to the device, it's basically impossible. You might only be left with the option to remove the Safe Internet configuration profile from that device, redeploy it, and hoping that that fixes the things. With balanced privacy mode, we can already see much friendlier data. As long as you have configured Safe Internet with Jamf Pro or Jamf School, devices will pull those information like the device name, user assignment, and even email addresses into the Safe Internet console, making for a much easier time for identifying devices for troubleshooting purposes. So what about threat hunting or looking at trends from a security point of view? So in the Safe Internet console, we have security report and we have the usage report. The security report is where you'll find this. And you can see we split out threats based on types. If we dig down into a particular threat type, we can then see websites that were blocked as part of the transaction that were identified as, in this case, phishing sites. And then with balanced privacy enabled, the administrator again gets to see information about the device, such as the device name and the user assigned to it. Remember, without balanced privacy enabled, an administrator would only see the device and the user with a random long string identifier, which would mean that although an admin could see trends, for example, spam sites that were regularly being attempted or accessed, they wouldn't be able to pinpoint the specific device or user. With balanced privacy enabled, administrator can more easily hunt for threats or trends that may be affecting a particular group of users or teachers that can keep falling for the same phishing attack. So although switching privacy modes won't be for everyone, you can see that there are some major benefits for administrators that need that level of insight within the Jamf Safe Internet console. Now, let's switch gears completely to something that was announced at our annual conference, the JNUC, and that will be available very, very soon. And that is Jamf Safe Internet policy schedules. This is very exciting to talk about since it must be one, if not the most requested features that we had for Jamf Safe Internet since its release. That is the ability to have a different content filtering policy at different times of the day. So for example, during school hours, YouTube and online games are blocked, but when the device goes home, kids, being kids, and as such can have access to YouTube and online games. So in other words, Safe Internet will soon have time-based blocking. As an admin, you can create and scope multiple schedules to suit your needs, whether that's multiple schedules during the day or even different schedules in terms of time versus holidays, for example. Now remember, right at the beginning I mentioned that on-device content filtering was powerful, as it's also a gateway for many other features? Well, this is one of them. So in order to use policy schedules, you will need to be deploying Safe Internet with the ODCF technology. We'll jump straight in to see how flexible and easy it is to create and deploy policies on a schedule. First, we'll navigate to Web Protection Policy, Content Rules, and then you'll see the new Policy Schedule button. From here, you can see the new schedule creator window. And if we create a new schedule, we can add a name and a start date. If we only want this policy to run for a set amount of time, say a term, for example, we can then also schedule and set an end date. Next, we can add a recurrence. So we can define when this policy should be active during those defined dates. Notice it's also how an admin could have a different time period for an active policy each day, for example. In this example, we'll say that our school starts and finishes at a different time on a Friday. And once done, we can hit save and it takes us back to the schedule overview. From here, we get a glimpse, a summary of what the schedules contain and the ability to either edit or delete it. Now that we've created the schedule, we need to apply it to our chosen category or categories. We do this by selecting an individual category that is already being blocked and choosing from the schedule list. Our chosen category will be blocked during the times and dates defined in the schedule and allowed all other times. An administrator can be very flexible and granular when assigning schedules, applying different states to subcategories, as well as using device groups to target specific devices. Now, we're very excited to finally give you this feature, and we hope you like it, because as I said, this was one, if not the most asked feature since the release of Jamf Safe Internet. So to start wrapping up, just a few quick things to point out. Once again, we have a powerful integration built right into Jamf School, which means for those smaller shops that don't have an IT department dedicated, deploying Safe Internet is still very easy with a click of a button. Jamf Safe Internet is also compatible with Windows and Chrome OS, so we can help secure devices across your entire fleet. And although not mentioned today, the key to making all this work at the end of the day is the Jamf Trust application, which is deployed on the devices. This client doesn't need to be opened by the student or even signed in for Safe Internet to start working. However, it's important to note that if a student opens up the application, they can get insight to what categories are being blocked on that device. And these are just a few of the features that we now have available with Safe Internet. Thanks very much for following along. If you want to further expand on some of the capabilities, please reach out to your Jamf representative so we can meet and discuss this further. Again, thanks very much and have a great day ahead.